Isn't it annoying when you need an item, but then you have to go through all of your chests because you can't remember where you put it? If so, then this is the video for you because I'll be showing you how to build a system that you can request a certain item and it'll be delivered straight to you. And what you're seeing here is just one of those storage systems where you can request items automatically. And this might look a little complicated at first, but once I show you how everything works, you realize that it's easy enough to make this in your own world. And there are quite a few blocks that you may not have seen before, so I'll be teaching you what each and every one of them does. And the way we're moving around items is we're actually going to be using cardboard packages which can store items inside, and we'll put them on these things called chain conveyors. But before we learn how to move a package across a chain conveyor, we'll first need to know how to set up and what a chain conveyor does. So whenever you place down a chain conveyor, you can see that it has a shaft on the top here, which you can give power and it'll start spinning. But for a chain conveyor to actually work, you need to have two of them. So we can just do something like this, and then you need to grab a chain, just like a vanilla chain, not modded or anything. Then you right click on the chain conveyor with one of those chains, and then you right click on a second chain conveyor, and they will connect up with this chain here. And this is also useful because you can actually use chain conveyors to bring power from one to the other, and this is a good way to bring your power around. However, it does come at a cost, which we can see if we put on engineer's goggles and we look at this. That's because it actually takes stress units to run a chain conveyor. And it's not very many stress units, since for each RPM that you spin the conveyor at, it will take one stress unit. So if you spin it at 256 RPM, it'll take 256 stress units, which is one water wheel worth of stress. You'll need to know that not only can they connect diagonally down like this, and there is a certain height at which it's too steep to connect, and you can also connect multiple chain conveyors to one chain conveyor, so you can have basically like a loop, just like this. And to remove the chains, all you have to do is crouch and right click on them with a wrench, and that'll remove the chain. Or you could remove the conveyor, and that'll work as well. And there is a maximum amount of connections a chain conveyor can have, and that is 4. So as you can see, if I try to add another chain conveyor onto this one, you'll see that it says cannot add more connections to this conveyor, since we have 4 already connected, but we can connect it over here. And another cool thing about these is you can actually ride on the chains by right clicking them without crouching with a wrench in your hand. If you go into third person, you can see that you're kind of hanging onto the chains with the wrench. Just make sure that there aren't blocks in your way, or else it'll just kick you off. And this stopping feature actually allows you to power something like a piston with a frequency from far away, and that will stop you once you get to a certain spot. But if you don't want to, you can just go right past it while the lever is off. And another thing to keep in mind is that chain conveyors can only connect up to each other at a maximum of 32 blocks. And if I were to bring this a block further, just like this, you can see that it says it's too far apart to connect. And there also is such a thing as being too close together to connect. And as long as you have one block in between them at least, then you should be good to connect them. And then you can also place cardboard packages on here, and they'll try to go to the nearest thing that can pick them up, which is this little thing called a package frog port right here. And I'll get to a little bit more in depth on what that is in just a moment. However, to make a package, you need to have a storage area like a chest or a vault or something. And then you need to place the item called a packager to the side, and it needs to have this little solid side facing that inventory item. Then if you place an item inside and you give it some power, it will package that item up, which you can do something like a funnel to output it, or use that package frog port. And if you pick up the package from inside and you crouch right click with it in your hand, it will give you those items that were inside. And it is good to know that a package can only hold up to 9 items at once, or rather 9 stacks of items, not 9 items. And in addition to giving it redstone power to actually package items inside, you can just, without redstone power, right click with a cardboard package in your hand and it will unpack that item into the chest. However, if you try to put an extra package in, if it's already full, then it won't work. Now, once you have a moving chain conveyor, you will need a way to get items on and off of it. And the way we can do that is with a package frog port. And what we do is we can place a chest down where we can put items inside with a packager that we just learned about. And then if we go ahead and go to a chain conveyor and right click on one of these little areas with that package frog port in your hand, then you right click on another spot, and as long as it says it can connect, you can place it. But if you're too far away, you will need to find a place that isn't. Then you can place it down, and there's actually two options in here. The first is send and receive packages, and the other one is only send packages. And what this means basically is this first option allows it to not only send but also take in packages, and if you didn't want it to take in any packages, you can tell it to only send them. Now, as long as this is on the setting you want, you have items in the chest that can be packaged, and this frog port is placed on top of your packager, then whenever you give it redstone power from the side, that frog port is going to automatically put that package on the conveyor. And it's only going to pick up and place once that cardboard package gets to the spot where you right clicked for the first time with your frog port. And then we can have another frog port pick this package up by placing another chest with a packager and a frog port set something like there. Then that'll pick that up and it'll automatically unpackage that into your items and it'll go in the chest. Or instead of using the regular packager, you can use a different item called the repackager. Then if you place your frog port on that, instead of it unpackaging those items into the chest, it'll put those back into a package in your chest. And this is useful because now you can unpackage these whenever you need to, rather than just having to have a bunch of storage wasted for what you could use for one slot. And at the beginning of the video, I told you that you can request items, and to do that, you need a stock system. And how a stock system works is you have these little items called stock links connected to your packagers, and those packagers are on your mass storage. Since this actually doesn't matter if you have random items in different storages, since they'll all be connected up anyways. And you can have as many storage areas as you want and in a system. And what these do is all of these stock links will tune to each other, as well as this item called the stock ticker. And this is what tells the stock keeper, which is just any mob that's next to a stock ticker in a seat, and it'll tell that what items are inside all of your storage. And from here you can click on any item to put one of it down in this little area here, as you can see, and you can order up to 9 items at once since that's how much a package can hold. And then you can also click on the ones down here to remove them, and it might get annoying having to click them one by one, so what you can do is hold down Control and click on one of these to give 10 items, or you can hold down Shift and click, and that'll get you a stack of items. And if you were to right click here, it'll also take back the items. So if you accidentally put too many, you don't have to go down here and click, you can just click here. And if you have a ton of different kinds of items in your storage, you can search here to find a specific item, and you can just pick that item up instead of having to scroll through a bunch of items. And there is also this little button here that allows you to prevent other players from ordering items from your system. So if you click this, it'll make it to where only you can actually order. And what happens if I press send is these packagers know that I want an item from this specific vault, so it's going to tell this frog port to package that amount of items from this vault and then put them onto a chain conveyor, and it'll keep going until it reaches its destination point, which is right here where it gets picked up by this frog port and put into this chest. And then I also have a system here where you can put items in, and it will just put those in a package and bring them over to your vaults and just split them. And this actually uses belts, but you could instead have more chain conveyors and packagers and frog ports to pick up those packages, unpackage them into these vaults, and go from there. But I just wanted to show that you could also do this if you wanted as well. And I'll show you how to connect up all of your storages with a stock link setup. And what you'll need to do is have all of your storages that you want to actually be in the system. Then you'll need some packagers on all of them with stock links on the side. And instead of placing them all down like this, what you can do is start by placing down your stock ticker, right clicking on it with a stock link, and that'll tune it to this stock ticker's network. Then you can go ahead and place down all of those. And the way you can actually access items is you need to put a mob in a seat or a blaze burner next to it. And this could be literally any mob, so if you really wanted to, you could have your warden as a stock ticker, or stock keeper rather. And once you have your stock keeper and all of these stock links connected up, you can go ahead and right click on the stock keeper, and this will show all of the items in your network. But right now I don't have any items, so I'll need to go ahead and put some in these vaults. So if I go ahead and put some andesite alloy in here, maybe some blocks of andesite alloy in here, maybe a mix of both in here, we'll see that all of those stacks of items are automatically going to be seen by the stock keeper, and you can just request those items. But if you don't have something that can actually bring the items over, then it'll just put them in packages and they'll be waiting there until they get a frog port with a chain conveyor where they can actually output. Or if you don't want to use frog ports, you could use a belt just like this. Then if you give it some power, have a few funnels with a chest on the end here, and we give that an input, and then we give these outputs, then it'll send those packages right into here. So that is also an option if you wanted to use belts instead of frog ports and chain conveyors. And now we can use everything we've learned so far to actually create a system that can automatically give you items. So we can go ahead and put down a chain conveyor here, just like this. Do some package frog ports. And let's say we have all of these set to send and receive. Once I request an item from this frog port, it's going to put it onto the chain right here, which will allow this frog port to actually pick it up, which is not what we want. However, we can fix this by placing down our packager, our frog port that takes stuff in. We can set this to also send and receive. So what we can do is actually there's this little package address thing down here, and what we can do with that is give it a specific name, but we'll need the name of a frog port so it knows where to have that pick up. So you can actually set the name of a frog port here. So you can say something like, this is your factory for like iron. So you can say this one's iron factory. Then you click done. And then if you go over here, you send a package of andesite alloy to iron factory. Then we send that. These other ones aren't going to pick it up, and only this one is. And you can also see it has a name tag above it too. And then what we can do with this is we can actually have another chest here if you want to put items back into your system. And then what we can do with this is we can have our chest and packager to put items into the system. We can have this frog port say only send items. And then we can put any item you want in here. It'll package those up. And any of those frog ports that have space will pick them up and put them into your vaults. And then if you didn't want to put all of them in there, you actually put too much, you can go ahead and request them back to your position. And since we can use these addresses, that means we can not only send items to yourself, but you can also send them far away if you have a little place where you know that, oh, I'm gonna need more iron in this area for my electron tube farm. So you can go ahead and send this to literally anywhere. So electron tube farm, and then you can send your andesite or your chain conveyors for some reason to your electron tube farm, and they'll try to put those in, and we'll see that they just go around since we don't have one called electron tube farm. But if I give one of these that name, then those packages will start trying to go into that place. This is pretty much all you need to know for how to make an automatic system where you can request items. And don't forget to leave a comment down below with what you would like to see in the next video. And while you're down there, I would really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button. Share this with any of your friends who may be interested in the Create mod, and maybe even become a member if you want to help support the channel even more. And you can go ahead and click on that little playlist you see on screen, which has all of my Create mod farm tutorials that I've ever done, just in case you wanted to see what kind of farms you can make. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.